The fog rolled thick over the abandoned high school in California. Its broken windows stared out like blind eyes, and the rusted fence groaned in the cold wind. For 20 years, the place had been silent, but inside those halls, one thing still waited. Students whispered about it even after the school closed. Locker 302. 4 friends decided to break in one night. They joked as they pushed open the heavy doors, their flashlights cutting across dust-filled hallways. Old posters clung to the walls, torn and faded. Desks were scattered as if students had run from class and never returned. Every step echoed too loudly, and now and then, a locker door rattled, even though no one touched it. They turned a corner and stopped. Among rows of rusted, dust-choked lockers, one stood out. Its paint gleamed as if it were brand new. The number read 302. One boy laughed nervously and reached out, but as soon as his hand brushed the metal, he shivered. It was colder than ice. Then, all of them heard it. A whisper from inside, soft and broken. "Let me out." The lock clicked on its own and dropped to the floor. Inside was a small diary, its pages curled and splattered with old, dried blood. They opened it. The words scrawled across the pages shook their voices as they read. "They trapped me here. I'm still here. I see everything. One day, I will come back." As the words left their lips, shadows slid across the walls, stretching long fingers. At the far end of the hall, a figure stood still, blurred by darkness, watching. Suddenly, one of the friends cried out. His scream filled the hall, and then he was gone. The others spun around, searching, and then froze. From deep inside Locker 302, his voice echoed, "Help me, don't leave me." They yanked the door open, hearts racing. Nothing, just his cries bouncing inside the hollow space. Then the locker slammed shut on its own. Panic took over. They ran, but every door they opened, every stair they climbed, led them back to the same hallway, to the same locker. It was as if the school itself was twisting around them. The lights flickered, stuttered, and with every flicker, the shadow at the end of the hall grew closer. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It was the outline of a boy, thin and broken, his eyes hollow, and his mouth twisted into a scream that never ended. One of them still clutched the diary. He flipped desperately to the last page. The ink was smeared, but the words were clear. "If you are reading this, it's already too late. Your turn has come." Before they could react, the sound of 100 locks snapping open filled the hallway. All around them, lockers burst wide, and pale hands clawed their way out. Fingers dragged against metal, reaching for flesh. The screams of the teenagers filled the school, as one by one they were pulled toward the darkness. Locker 302 stood open, waiting, and when the last of them was dragged inside, its doors slammed shut with a sound that shook the building. By morning, the school was silent again. Police arrived after neighbors reported strange noises in the night. They found nothing unusual. The halls were still and empty. Only Locker 302 stood, sealed tight, its surface cold as stone. As one officer leaned closer, a faint sound bled through the metal. Whispers, dozens of them, layered over each other, crying out from inside. The voices of the missing teenagers begged all at once. "Don't open it, don't open it." And then, silence. The Los Angeles County morgue was always cold at night. The hum of the refrigeration units echoed through empty halls, mixed with the faint drip of water somewhere in the pipes. It was past midnight when Dr. Alan Mercer signed the paperwork for another Jane Doe. No relatives, no records, no one who claimed the body. Just a pale, silent corpse, tagged for autopsy. He wheeled her into the operating room, the fluorescent lights flickering overhead. The steel table was freezing against her skin. Alan adjusted his gloves and leaned close. Something about the body made him pause. Her face was calm, too calm, like she was only pretending to sleep. Shaking off the thought, he pressed the recorder button. His voice cracked the silence. Autopsy begins. Female, approximate age, 35. He picked up the scalpel. The air grew heavier. The temperature seemed to drop, his breath fogging in front of him. He ignored it and made the first incision. For a second, he swore he saw her lips twitch. He froze, staring at her face. Nothing, just the pale stillness of the dead. But when he looked down at the cut, the skin was gone. In its place was another wound, different, older, deeper, as though someone else's scar had replaced the incision. Alan blinked, trying to steady himself. He checked the body tag. Same name, same Jane Doe. But the chest now looked like it had belonged to someone else entirely. He stepped back. His hands trembled as the lights buzzed harder. He leaned over her again, and the face staring back at him was no longer the woman he brought in. It was a man, his features swollen and beaten, eyes wide with terror. Alan staggered back, nearly knocking over the tray of instruments. He rubbed his eyes, muttering that he was tired, overworked. When he looked again, the face had changed once more. An old woman, stitched lips, cloudy eyes. Then another flicker, now a teenager, burnt skin, mouth wide open in a scream. The scalpel slipped from his hand, clattering to the floor. Every second, the body shifted, transforming into different corpses, each one belonging to someone who had died violently in Los Angeles. He recognized some of them, faces from old reports, names from the news. It was as if every dead soul in the city was trapped inside this single body. The recorder still ran. Alan's voice, now shaking, whispered, "This is not possible. This is not human." Suddenly, the body sat up. Its head turned slowly, unnaturally, bones cracking with the movement. Dozens of voices spilled from its throat at once, a chorus of whispers and screams blending together. The lights above burst one by one, plunging the room into darkness except for the faint glow of the emergency bulb. Alan couldn't move. The corpse leaned closer, its mouth inches from his ear. In that moment, all the voices stopped, and in the silence, it spoke clearly. It said his name, Alan Mercer. His blood froze. He staggered backward, fumbling for the door, but it wouldn't open. The lock jammed as though welded shut. Behind him, the sound of flesh tearing, bones snapping, as the body began climbing off the table, dragging itself toward him. Its form shifted with every step, man, woman, child, all stitched together in one nightmare. Alan screamed for help, pounding on the door, but no one came. The morgue was empty, silent, sealed in the dead of night. He turned back just as the body reached him. Its face was his own eyes, his own mouth, and in his voice it whispered, "Your turn." The emergency bulb flickered once and went out. By morning, the morgue was calm again. The hallways quiet, the table spotless, the instruments in place. Only one thing was different. A new body tag had been added in the freezer. The name on it was Dr. Alan Mercer, and the Jane Doe was gone. The cemetery in Boston stretched for acres, rows of crooked stones, standing like broken teeth against the night sky. The air was damp, the soil heavy from days of rain. Only one man walked there after midnight, Thomas Grayson, the grave digger. He was tall but hunched, with shoulders worn from years of shoveling earth. By day, he kept the grounds tidy. By night, he took secret payments, burying bodies in unmarked pits, where no one would ever find them. He told himself it wasn't murder. He didn't kill anyone. He just provided a place for the dead. But guilt has a way of settling deeper than any grave. That night the fog rolled in so thick, it seemed to swallow the gravestones. Thomas carried his old lantern, a flame inside sputtering against the mist. The cemetery gate creaked shut behind him, with a clang that echoed across the grounds. He walked his usual path, checking the rows. At first, everything was quiet. Then he heard it, a faint scratching sound like nails dragging against wood. He paused, listening. The sound came again, but this time it was muffled, buried beneath the earth. His pulse quickened. He lifted the lantern and slowly scanned the ground. The soil in front of him trembled, just slightly, as though something beneath the dirt was moving. Thomas stepped closer, telling himself it was just a trick of the wind, or maybe an animal burrowing. But then, the ground cracked, and a pale, withered hand broke through the surface. Thomas dropped his shovel. The hand clawed at the air before going still. His lantern light caught the edge of a face pushing up through the soil. Rotting skin clung to bone, and its jaw creaked open. From that ruined mouth came a voice that did not belong to the corpse. It was the voice of a man Thomas remembered clearly, one of the first bribes he ever took, nearly 15 years ago. "You put me here. Now it's your turn." The corpse dragged itself upward, shoulders breaking free of the earth. Its hollow eyes locked on him. Thomas staggered back, heart pounding, but before he could flee, he heard more sounds. Around him, the ground split open again and again. From the dark soil rose dozens of figures, men, women, even children, all the forgotten dead he had buried in secret. Some had bullet holes gaping in their chests. Some had rope burns around their necks. Some were missing jaws or limbs. Yet every one of them stared straight at him. Their voices rose together in a chorus of whispers that became deafening. "Thomas, Thomas, Thomas." He clutched his ears, stumbling through the rows of graves. He tried to run, but the fog pressed in, thick as a wall. Every direction he turned brought him back to the same corner, the corner where he had buried his sins. His lantern flickered wildly, and in its dying light, he saw the corpses moving closer. The whispers grew louder, now inside his head, scraping at his mind. "Take our place. Take our place." The ground beneath him softened suddenly, like wet mud. His boots sank into the earth. He struggled, pulling hard, but the soil clutched at him like hands. Real hands followed, pale and skeletal, rising from the graves to drag him down. He screamed, thrashing, clawing at the air. His lantern fell and went out, leaving him in darkness. Dirt filled his mouth, choking his cry as the earth swallowed him whole. And then it was silent. By morning, the fog had lifted. The cemetery looked ordinary again. Sunlight struck the crooked stones, and the birds returned to perch on them. But in the far corner, where no visitor ever went, there was a new grave, fresh earth piled neatly, as though dug by an expert. A wooden marker leaned against it, carved roughly by hand. It bore no date, no epitaph. Only one word. Thomas.